So the why and how it started is a $1 million question. And I'm really, really pleased actually that we've decided to embark on this journey to highlight to everybody how Squire Editions actually formed, where it all come from, and a bit of my background to understand my vision and where I have come from, just to get a little bit of an idea of why we are where we are right now. And I like to start off with some things that people don't know, and that is I spent 17 years of my life in Wales. I was raised in Wales. I have a deep love for the countryside. I'm very grateful that we spent a lot of time in Wales. I can remember vividly 2 or 3 years old in the back of a series. My parents had children's nurseries, and they used to ferry some of the kids backwards and forwards in the back of the series. And from that point onwards, I always loved the green oval. So when we came to Chichester, we came to West Sussex. The automotive sector has always been ingrained in our blood. Our uncle had an accident repair centre. Our other brother had an accident repair centre. We were very fortunate where we worked in that environment. I'm not academic, and I just needed a release to get into the automotive sector. I had that sort of inner burn to get back out into the countryside, pick up a shotgun again, shoot some clays and get out into the great outdoors, which we did. And from that point onwards, we built a vehicle for ourselves, which was the infamous, I believe on the website, it's called The One. That is the vehicle that we created for us, and it generated a huge amount of interest. And from that point onwards, I knew that there was something special to be made from it.
Tom is amazing. He's a great boss. No, he hasn't bribed me either, by the way, but he's a great boss. I have a lot of challenges with Tom. As you can imagine, he's so passionate about Squire Editions, but to try and pin him down and put stuff in his diary is quite amusing, to say the least. I've learnt a lot about Land Rovers. I knew nothing about Land Rovers. I didn't know anything about vehicles, in fact. I couldn't even drive one, but now I can even drive that, and we have a tank. I mean, what other job do you get to drive a tank?
What makes working here special for me is being able to come up with ideas and sort of see them through to the end. Hand making products, or an idea a customer comes up with, and then creating it from nothing, or even assembling parts to make that one thing happen. So achieving some of the projects that we finish, we're not breaking new ground by doing these LS3 conversions, but the way we do them isn't necessarily the same as everyone else. But to make that from scratch and then drive it and the customer enjoy it is a great feeling.
We were almost camping out of Chichester Cars to start off with, because we didn't want the investment of a standalone property for us to trade from. So 2019, 2020, years that many people remember for the pandemic, but we were in early conception stages of the business, so we just sort of knuckled down and worked out of the premises then. I would say 2 years on, we then moved over to another unit on that industrial estate, and we created that space, and we took on one member of staff at that time, which was Stuart Ray. It was a journey that we talked about for some time, and the ideas were batting backwards and forwards and how we were going to make it work. He came on board, and it alleviated me to have a bit more time to go out and generate a bit more work. Networking, relationships, I think fundamentally is what's enabled us to grow where we are. So from that point onwards, we then had Ben, and then Robbie started, and then we looked at the transition to move from our existing body shop up at Lee Road, and we moved into that to expand the accident repair side.
I didn't know really what I wanted to do when it was time to leave school. And that wasn't long ago, by the way, only a couple of years. And so I sort of fell into classic car restoration and found that I really loved it, loved a project, liked getting my teeth into stuff. And that's sort of what I've done ever since. My personal passion is old school air-cooled 911s, and I was very fortunate to own one a few years ago. Being at Squire, all of the projects are very different. Land Rovers are generally known as farm tractors, aren't they? And we can make them quick, which is really good fun.
Land Rovers have been part of my life ever since I was a child. They've always been in the family, and now having them in my life still, it's been one of those things that I can't get enough of, apparently. Being able to film everyone and kind of create content with that, kind of using my passion and creating something to show so many people, just brings me a lot of joy.
A huge subjective topic, this. I've always been about paddling my own canoe. I'm not interested with what everyone else has got to do. I started a business with my brother that is saturated in people who modifying Land Rovers. There's an abundance of mainstream commercial Land Rover customization firms out there. I don't need to name them, lots of you will know. For us, it was all about being a bit different. And what I mean by different is more boutique. So we can really encapsulate what the client wants and inject their own DNA into the car. So we go on a journey together. We actually understand what the client wants to achieve out the vehicle. We sit down here, we light the fire, we have a coffee. Wouldn't go to the extremities of having a red wine, but you know, we really get into the depths of what the client wants before we go through the build process. And I believe a lot of people are accustomed to instant gratification, and that's one thing that we don't do. It's not overnight. It is a journey. There's two stories that for me that stick out. One is inspirational and the other one is just amusing. We'll start off with the amusing one. I don't do football at all, and I had to go and pick up a vehicle from Scott Duxbury, who is chairman of Watford. So I get up there, he gives me a postcode, I get to destination, it's a bit fluffy, didn't know where I was going, and it was the training grounds being the operative word here. I looked, there was a magnificent building, there was an emblem on the side, so I thought that must be the place. So I pull up. How can I help you, sir? So I'm here to see Scott. I said, oh, okay, great. What position is he in? I said, oh, I don't know. I don't do football, so I'm unsure what position he's in. He said, okay, what department is he in? I said, well, it's Scott Duxbury, as in chairman. And he said, oh, terribly sorry, sir. You're in Arsenal. You should be in Watford. So that was that's as far as my football sort of knowledge goes. But from inspiration side, we dealt with a client, it wasn't so long ago actually, who was 34 years old, and we got on like a house on fire, no problems at all. I could do with most people, to be fair. He was telling me stories on what he wanted to create for his vehicle. We went through all sorts of different ideas, and one of the parts to our business that really appealed to him was the tailored aspect, and we can do whatever he wants within reason, time, money, constraints. He saw Mr. Modest's car, the one that we were out in this morning. What a wonderful client he is, and he's got some stories to tell, that's for sure. But he saw that car and he saw the engraving that we had done in the inside. And he said, well, that is one of the clinch points for me. I saw that and I just absolutely love it. So I suggested to him, as I was having a conversation, he had a signet ring on, I suggested to him that we did something to do with his signet ring, so it obviously has some sort of prolific meaning. On the signet ring, it had an acorn and it had an oak tree. And the special meaning behind that was his grandfather had said, be an acorn, because an acorn flourishes into an oak tree. And that phrase from his grandfather stuck with him, and he is an incredibly successful chap.
I love working on Land Rovers, and coming to work and being able to build these incredible vehicles is a big source of joy for me. The team here is brilliant. They are so talented, and I have learnt a lot just being here in the 2 short years.
The satisfaction of completing a build from start to finish is enjoyable. The finished article is a real sense of satisfaction when it comes together. All in all, I like working alongside the craftsmen that I also call my mates.
The 3 people that we had at the previous premises, which was Stuart, then Ben, then Robbie, we now also have Tuppers and we've got George. So there's 5 craftsmen in the workshop here now at Squire Editions, and we've got gentlemen and ladies in the office side as well. What I feel that sets us aside from generic quote-unquote staff would be the term craftsman, and that is every single one of them are unique in their own field, whether it be bodywork, whether it be metal fabrication, whether it be craftsmanship, whether it be upholstery. They are all different, and we do everything in-house.
I really enjoy the type of work that is done here. I've got a huge passion for most things automotive as it is. All of the work that is done here, it really interests me. It's nice to be part of that sort of environment where the people that come in, they specify they want something, and being able to actually be able to achieve it. Everything is bespoke, everything is made to fit, it's made to work, and we can achieve that here, which is really nice.
My passion is to be outdoors, and starting the business, that was one of the key fundamentals for me. It's to take on work that pushed me to be outside, because that's where I do the best work. And working with Squire and Land Rovers, they're built to be used outdoors, and that has allowed me to work on some really epic and fun projects with Squire and some really heartfelt moments.
At this stage, it's very much a passion business, and I don't desire to take it to any other levels, to the stratosphere. We build internationally, we build some wonderful relationships. Do I need to take it to the point where we have 30 or 40 craftsmen in the workshop? Absolutely not. Where we want to retain is that personal relationships, and I always come back to that because that's what I really, really enjoy about the business. Do we desire to go into a country location where we can encapsulate all things countryside? Absolutely. Yeah, that's where I would like to go, where we can have the workshop, we can have a cafe, we have clubhouse membership, we can have a bit of ground for some clay shooting, etc. That would be the end destination for me, but the journey we're on currently, I'm enjoying every minute. I would always say, for creating any business and anybody, one of the things you've got to do is just ignore the naysayers. When I started this, it was very much an air of jealousy, I would say. There was some jealousy floating around, and people say that it will fail. Well, it didn't, and it hasn't, and I can guarantee you it won't. We're at a really lovely stage where we've got a healthy order book, we've got some lovely clients. One thing that I find that they all have in common is they all want something different. And it's lovely to deliver that and see the smiles on their faces once we've completed the project. And there we have it. We have captured the base understanding of how it all began. Any brands wishing to collaborate or sponsor the channel, please do reach out to Jackie at squireeditions.com. And as ever, thank you ever so much for watching.